I was a strange child growing up. My love for the supernatural set me apart from the rest of my peers. This love stemmed from the countless hours my father and I would spend watching Outer Limits, X-Files, or Twilight Zone. Unfortunately, these would be the only fond memories we would share together, as his then crippling alcoholism would cause enough concern in my mother to prevent me from seeing him again. Years later, he would eventually find sobriety, but by then too much time had passed and we were unable to reestablish the relationship we once had. As I entered my teenage years, I would try and rationalize the events that took place in my childhood. Unable to do so, I decided it would be best to try and forget. For quite some time, I was able to do just that, until I started making this series. Now I am both terrified and grateful for having to relive the events of my past, as I finally have an opportunity to get some closure, while at the same time I now have to face the demons that haunted me, and still do to an extent, all those years ago. Aside from the strange phone call and subsequent major behavioral change that took place in my last confession, this is the only other major and potentially paranormal experience I recall happening in my youth. I was in a quasi-sleep state, laying on the same old couch in my dad's apartment when I heard a distinct hum. I had seen enough X-Files and read enough on alien abduction to know what this sound might have been. There was a quick flash of a bright white light through the living room window, and that's it. My memory of that night ends. I just can't remember what happened next, no matter how hard I try. I only remember waking up the next morning to go to school. A few days had passed, and everything seemed about as ordinary as it usually was, when I noticed a very small, thin piece of debris in the dead center of my left hand. At first I thought it was just a splinter, but it didn't hurt, and I couldn't remember where I would have gotten it from. When I got home, I dug at it with a needle, and the deeper I went, the deeper this object appeared to go. I eventually stopped trying, realizing I was getting nowhere and the pain was just too much for me to handle. To this day, it's still visible deep within my skin, and I haven't tried to remove it since. Recalling the order in which these two events took place has proven to be quite the undertaking. My childhood memories seem fragmented, almost as though there are periods of missing time. Both experiences happen so close together that they may very well be connected somehow, and most likely are. Since that night, in this instance, my life has been a jumbled mess of things that I cannot explain for fear of what I might discover. I'll be the first to tell you that this may all just be coincidence. It may just be a splinter in my hand, and I could have imagined the hum. The flash of light could have just been a car in the parking lot. The dark shadow I witnessed may just be a metaphor for a dark and abusive past of which I can't remember. These are all things I've been telling myself for years, without ever really putting too much thought into it until now. Could I have been mistaken? I'll let you be the judge.